for our next dish is we're doing the prawns with lemongrass, coconut, and fresh herbs. So what we're going to do is this is like a curried prawns. What we're using for prawn here, again, prawns are the same sizing as scallops. They come in a count form. So these are a 8-12. So you have 8 to 12 prawns per pound. These are what I would be a jumbo. You know, sometimes when you go to the grocery store or wherever and they say jumbo prawns and they're about this big, these are definitely classified as a jumbo prawn. The nice thing about these is you can pretty much do anything with them. You can barbecue them, you can sear them, poach them as a prawn cocktail, and they're a nice size. Sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah, dude, with the prawns and the scallops, do you find any difference in the flavor or the quality depending on the size?
If you buy, with the prawns, they're most commonly are the black tigers. You're pretty safe. When you get into, sometimes they're called green tigers. They're not going to tell you that, but when you buy prawns and they seem like a really good deal, the larger ones generally don't have as nice of a flavor. The smaller ones are generally a little bit sweeter. And also when you get into some of the cheaper prawns, you'll find that you might get 10% of them that might be mushy. So with the prawns, you're pretty safe, and same with the big scallops. Again, the smaller ones are generally a little bit sweeter, but again, it's pretty hard to control little tiny scallops and that. But yeah, they're pretty safe. The black tigers are always pretty safe. And again, these have always been previously frozen. You're not going to buy fresh tiger prawns. However, you will find fresh spot prawns, which are, you know, a delicacy here in BC. I probably wouldn't do this with spot prawns, mostly because spot prawns are such a phenomenal product. You really want to keep them really simple and just, like I said, sauteed like we did, maybe a little bit of the beurre blanc, and that's it. But they're not available year-round. They are as frozen, but take advantage of the fresh season, which is really about May to the first part of June for spot prawns. They're a lot of work, but they're worth it.
They're so damn sharp.
They are sharp. You're gonna jab yourself a few times. Yeah. So I'm going to chop some ginger. So please, if you want, follow along and let me know if I'm forgetting something in this recipe. This is the one that I usually get forgetful on. Now you can run this through the mandolin or the microplane if you wish. I actually kind of like chopping the ginger for this dish for some reason. And then the garlic, we're going to chop some garlic. Now when you're chopping garlic, I hate to say this, but do not buy pre-chopped garlic. If you're buying pre-chopped garlic in a jar, there's not a lot of things I won't tell you to buy, but that is one of them that I'll tell you not to buy. Yeah, you know, my parents are notorious for buying pre-chopped garlic, and when I go to their house and usually I get stuck finishing the dinner and I have to go in the fridge and look for garlic, my dad always pulls out this bottle of pre-chopped garlic. It drives me crazy. You know, garlic doesn't last forever, so I always tell people every time you go buy groceries, buy a clove of garlic or a couple heads of garlic. Because lots of people say, you know, how do you store it, or, you know, what's the secret, because it always sprouts on you. And it will sprout on you. The secret is just always buy garlic. It just doesn't last forever in your fridge. And I don't know if any of you found that the little garlic keepers actually work. I don't know if they do, to be honest with you. I always just keep it in my fridge. Do you find they work, Angie?
I don't know, I just keep it out. I have
Yeah. Oh, you keep it out? Oh, okay.
Like tomatoes and stuffed potatoes out on my counter, and there's usually garlic in there.
Oh, okay.
When it sprouts, I throw it out.
Yeah.
The sprout is gross.
Yeah, the sprout is really bitter.
It's really bitter.
If you have to use it and it's sprouted, peel the sprout out. But yeah, go buy new garlic. There's really no, you know, put your dinner on hold and quickly run to the store and buy some garlic.
Actually, if you don't have fresh garlic in a pinch, garlic powder.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yep.
get granulated garlic, it's
Yep.
actually a good substitute to fresh if you can't.
Yeah.
Granulated garlic is better than the crap in the jar.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I actually like to use, other than Caesar dressing, I actually like to use granulated garlic in some of my salad dressings, because I find like if you use fresh garlic in some of your salad dressings, they take on this kind of rancid flavor. They're not bad, but I find as the garlic sits, it takes on a little bit of a different flavor. So I like to actually use some garlic powders. Like if I make a ranch dressing at home, I generally use a granulated or a garlic powder. So, but like I said, not in Caesar salad dressing, but. Cumin, coriander. I'm just referring to my recipe quickly. All right, so we're gonna get our, now this is something that we don't have to get the pan smoking hot for because we're really not searing. We're kind of poaching, if you will, all the prawns and that in the coconut milk. You definitely want it to be warm, but you don't need it to be smoking. And you don't want the garlic and ginger to burn. You just want it to get a little fragrant. So now when you're buying prawns, sometimes they come with shell on, sometimes they come with shell off. These ones have already been deshelled and they've been deveined. And what the deveining is literally they've been slit down the back with a knife, and then there's usually a dark vein in there. You want to pull that out. It's really not nice to get it, to bite into it. It's usually quite sandy. It's basically the stomach of the prawn. So you want to, like I said, you want to remove that dark vein.
Are you cooking them with tails on?
Yes. Yeah, I'm leaving the tails on. We always leave the tails on in the restaurant business more for, you know, for appearance. All right. So what's the next step on the recipe? We've added the garlic and the ginger. I'm going to rely on you guys to tell me what I got to do next. Sorry? Nobody's following on the recipe? Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to add the cumin. I'm going to add the coriander. The turmeric, the cayenne, and the paprika as well? Perfect. Yes?
Some of these spices come in such large quantities. How long do you recommend keeping them?
You know, I actually keep them for a fairly long time. I think spices will stay on the back like 4 months or 6 months. I think some of them you buy dry. But again, if you're going to warm them up in the pan like this, they have a tendency to kind of rejuvenate a bit. I don't know. I probably wouldn't keep them longer than a year. But if you keep them in a dry, dark place, they generally are a little bit, you know, will last a little bit longer. Angie, do you have any recommendations?
In the little jars we sell here, like the cumin and stuff, I always keep it longer than a year.
Yeah.
Just like one thing, you open it and it doesn't have a huge fragrance. Put some of it in a dry pan and just warm it up. And what that does is it brings the essential oils out of the herb, and it just sort of just brings it back to life a little bit. But
Yeah.
my mom has spices like from the 80s.
Yeah. I think my mom and dad do too.
My mom has the full work sometimes. She says to me, "Oh, I dumped the spices out. I'm just saving the can."
No. No.
It's brutal.
Every once in a while, I had some bay leaves that I actually found in the bottom of my spice drawer, and I pulled them out, and I bet you they were from the 90s. But I opened them up, and there was no fragrance whatsoever. You can dry roast that forever, and you're never going to get that back. So, you know, if you're not going to use, like things that you're going to use a lot of, then by all means buy it in a larger format. But yeah, like Angie, you know, she carries the smaller pack size. Again, it's kind of like garlic. You know, you can't buy them and expect they're going to sit there for 3 years on your shelf.
And don't buy the dollar store stuff.
No.
Just gross.
No.
Powder, it's old.
Yeah.
And don't buy it in the bulk bin either.
No.
No, it's from Costco bags or something.
Yeah.
Even supermarkets don't buy them there.
No.
These are fresh.
Ours are fresh, and you know what? Our prices on our spices are excellent.
Yeah. And you know, you get what you pay for. In spices, you get what you pay for. So, you know, it's kind of...
You spend all that money on the sable fish, and then you're going to go to the dollar store for garlic.
Yeah, exactly. Does make sense. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna chop our roasted red pepper. So when you're roasting red peppers, there's a couple ways you can do it. I literally take the pepper whole, stem in and everything, and I put it in a hot oven about 375 to 400 degrees. And you wanna cook it until the skin starts to turn color and it gets soft. Then you take it out, you put it in a bowl, you cover it with plastic wrap, and then it will kind of steep or steam in there. And then you can peel it. Another way you can do it is you can put it right on your burner, your gas burner, not your electric burner, your gas burner. If you have a gas stove, put it on medium high, and literally put it right on the flame. And just keep turning it. It'll smell like burning grass in your house, but that's fine. Turn the fan on, it's fine. And then what that allows, it allows you to peel it. Once it sits and steeps with the plastic wrap, you're able to peel it. let it cool, and then peel it. Don't rinse it under water. If it's a little hot, then just let it cool and just kind of open it up, and you see all the seeds in there. Scrape the seeds out. And really what that does, it sweetens the pepper up nicely because it's been roasted. And it's the only way you can peel the pepper. Also, you can put it right on your barbecue. Sorry, I kind of forgot to mention that. I don't put any oil on it or anything. I literally wash it, dry it, and put it in the oven or on the barbecue, or I have a gas stove. I usually do it right on my gas stove, actually, right on the burner. And now we're going to chop this. And these are great to put in salads. These are great to put in sandwiches and wraps. My kids aren't really big pepper fans, but they actually really like them like this, and in wraps. So I took this off the heat because obviously I was talking and dicing. So that's really nice and fragrant right now. We're going to add the tomato paste to the pan. I really recommend buying tomato paste like this. This is the best way to, Angie carries this? Yes. This is the best way to buy tomato paste, and the reason being is, I always open up a can of tomato paste, use 1 tablespoon, and throw it out. And don't keep the can of tomato paste in your fridge, in the can. All right, so I added the tomato paste, I add the red pepper. Am I on track? Perfect. There will be a test after class. Can you smell that in the back? All right, and then we add our coconut milk, correct? Now, when you're buying coconut milk, I apologize because I didn't buy probably one of the better brands of coconut. Again, you get what you pay for in coconut milk. Give it a shake. You spend a little bit more on good quality coconut milk, you get more cream in the coconut. If you buy 79-cent coconut milk from the dollar store, it is literally just a white liquid. You might as well use milk, in my opinion. So it still has a sweeter flavor. This one's a little bit thinner than I like. Do you sell coconut milk here, Angie?
Yeah, we carry the Aromatic brand, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
It's $2 a can.
Yeah.
It's not super expensive.
It's fairly thick.
Yeah.
Thicker than this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to scrape the cream out of the can.
That's what I like. Usually in a good quality coconut milk, you're gonna have that much cream at the top and all the liquid on the bottom.
That cream you can actually whip into whipping cream.
Yeah. A little bit more. What's that? The crank one. I think this is an old one with the crank. I think Angie got that from her mom.
We sell them. They're great.
Oh, really?
It's a brand from the 60s. It's called Swing Away, and that's all they make is Canada.
Oh.
And they're great. I've had one for years and they never seem to break. And they
Yeah.
just jam.
They're great. Swing Away can opener. It's on the
My lemongrass. I had a stalk of lemongrass. Oh, I already pulled it out. So for the lemongrass, again, you want to give it a little bruising. And when I bruise it, I literally just give it, a good bash with the back of the knife and put it in your sauce. We're going to discard it later. Don't chop the lemongrass up and then put it in there because you're going to spit out little wood fibrous bits as you're eating it. Just let the flavor get in there and then remove it. So now we're going to get some fresh basil ready. Now, if you can find a Thai basil, by all means, use a Thai basil. I couldn't find any Thai basil. The recipe used to say Thai basil, but I got tired of people saying, now is that Thai basil? And it never was. So, again, one of the downsizes of living in Langley. I was going to say H Mart usually does have it. Roll it up nicely and give it a nice Chiffonade. So what are we at now? We got our coconut milk, we got all our seasoning in here. Let it simmer for a couple minutes, then add the prawns, correct? Perfect. I'm going to... Sorry? No, I haven't added any salt yet. And this is definitely one of those dishes you want to taste as you're cooking. I don't really add salt in my recipes per se, because I've been accused of making things, I call it well seasoned, not salty. But my mom and dad tell me that I cook with way too much salt. So I always say adjust accordingly, because everybody has a different, kind of idea of how much salt they should have. Sorry? That's right, exactly. I can just say pinch and then it's my recipe. When you're chopping herbs, make sure you have a really sharp knife. When you're chopping herbs or lettuces, if you go back, a few hours later and the lettuce is all brown, that's generally because you had a really dull knife. So really make sure your knife is really sharp. If you pre-chop them, make sure they're sitting in the fridge, a little bit of a damp towel over top of them. Again, it's one of those things that you just can't have, pre-chopped jars of this stuff in your fridge. And there is a squeeze bottle of fresh herbs. Please don't buy them. Like I said, there's another thing I'm going to tell you not to buy. In the produce aisle of Save On or Safe, I think, they have these squeeze bottles of herbs. They came to, I think, about 12 years ago and asked us if we would try them. They were awful. And they're still there, so obviously people buy them. And I think a lot of people just aren't really well informed of what, I think you can buy lemongrass like that, you can buy basil, and they just do not taste like it.
Really well with the garlic in a jar.
Sorry?
Goes really well with the garlic.
Yeah, exactly, the garlic in a jar.
Fran was just saying those tubes of herbs have a big ingredient list.
Oh, I know.
Full of
Yeah.
preservatives and bad oil and stuff.
Yeah, and they even if they tasted well, I wouldn't buy them, but they don't even taste good. Just gonna give this a little bit longer here. Now, I know I'm gonna need a little salt and pepper, so I'm gonna season it. Now you can make this as spicy or unspicy as you like. Just keep in mind when you do season this as well, if you're boiling this really rapidly and you think you got the perfect flavor in there and you keep boiling it down and it's now reducing, it's going to be overpowering. So just keep that in mind. If that's the case, then you want to season it just at the last minute. That's like the beurre blanc. You never want to add your seasoning in the reduction because you're going to start and it's going to taste great, but as you reduce it, that salt just intensifies in there. A little on the spicy side. I hope you guys like spicy. That's right.
The fresh cayenne. Sometimes the cayenne pepper is really spicy and other times it's not.
Yeah.
It's like chilies. When you sometimes buy jalapenos, sometimes they're quite hot and other times they're not.
And I think this is fairly spicy because I think I just stocked up actually from here not that long ago on some fresh, I think I went through my spice drawer and it's like, really? This is how old this? I actually date the bottom of my spice jar so I actually know how old it is. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, really? 2008? I need new chilies. So, you don't remember when you bought it. Now the variation of this dish or substitution, this makes a fantastic curry for chicken. So by all means, I think this will kind of be a really versatile sauce for you. If I get any emails from my cooking classes of, I still think of you when I cook this prawn dish, this is probably one of the most reoccurring dish because it's really easy to make. Make the sauce ahead of time. Make it 2-3 days ahead of time. Not the fish, but just the sauce, and then keep it in your fridge. When you're ready to cook it, dump it in your pan, bring it to simmer, and add your products. If you're going to add chicken to this, cook your chicken elsewhere in another pan, roast it, or saute it. drain off the juice. If you add raw chicken to this, you're gonna cook the protein out of the chicken and you're gonna have little cottage cheesy bits. It never fails. I see people doing it, even at the restaurant, with staff meal. Our kitchen staff has to make each other staff meal, and they throw raw chicken in coconut milk, and it just does not do well. So we're going to finish this off with a lot of fresh herbs and some fresh lime juice. Again, if you're pre-making this, leave the herbs out, make the sauce, have them chopped in the fridge the morning of, and then when you bring it up to a simmer and cook your fish in there or whatever, just quickly add the herbs just to finish it off. Even if you don't like cilantro, I'm hoping none of you are oohing over the cilantro. My wife hates cilantro, but she likes it in this format. She always accuses me saying I purposely cook with cilantro. And that's it. I'm going to just double check one more time. See if it needs more lime juice. Could use a little bit. If you want to serve limes on the side, you can. That's it. Now we're going to take our lemongrass out. And we're going to put them in the bowl. Now, if this seems a little bit spicy to you, keep in mind, if you're going to serve it with, a big pile of steamed bok choy and some steamed rice, you're going to lose that spice in there a bit. So, most people that I serve this to don't complain of the spice. It is a little spicy, but... Do we have a small ladle of... No, this will work. And if you have company that doesn't like cilantro, then by all means, leave it on the side and sprinkle it on top afterwards.
Invite someone else.
Angie, I was just thinking the same thing. Personally, they wouldn't be at my house, but that's all right. No. It's pretty hard to kick my wife out at dinner time every time I cook a cilantro. Anyways, and like I said, she loves cilantro like this. And it's funny, she likes it in salsas, but she just has a really low tolerance for cilantro. And she really does think that I cook with it on purpose just to make her mad. You know what? Cilantro is one of those things that actually took me a long time to appreciate as well. Too spicy? Just right? Yeah, they are really large. Unfortunately, these shrimp are not what I would classify as on the ocean-wise list, but really there's not a lot of choice. There are some wild Gulf of Mexico shrimp that are actually quite nice. They're really hard to find. So, and there's some Argentinian prawns that are really quite nice. Again, they're hard to find. So if you're looking for a jumbo shrimp that's available year-round, everybody sells them because they're really the only way of getting shrimp year-round.
It's delicious.
So I think this will definitely would be a repertoire of your sauces because, like I said, it's really versatile. It is really versatile. I always hate to go this route, but I've actually served it with pasta. My kids love it with noodles as a curried pasta dish.